here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
That is right. Conservative, not bitter indeed. You are listening to the Todd Huff Show here on YouTube or possibly on Freedom 95 as well. It is good to be here. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to do this. And if you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do that. All you have to do is click that little subscribe button. Search if you're listening on the radio or somewhere else. Know that you can get these programs on YouTube, Hour 2, and eventually Hour 1 as well, simply by subscribing. Go to Todd Huff Show on YouTube, and thank you for doing that. Good morning, YouTube, or evening, whenever you're watching this. I want to start. I mentioned last hour, one of the, oopsie daisies, hold on here. There we go. I mentioned that Pete Carroll, he's the coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll, of course, we know about professional sports leagues, the Black Lives Matter movement, particularly the NBA and the NFL, but others as well. I mean, we've seen this in Major League Baseball. We've seen things in the NHL as well with responses and things that the leagues are doing. I saw even yesterday Nick Saban marched with his players. In fact, if you look right here at YouTube, look at this. My daughter made this for me. Look at this little rock with the Alabama Crimson Tide logo on it. Roll Tide. Actually, there's a can you see it back there? Right there. Paul the Bear Bryant Coke bottle from my grandpa. That's actually probably why I started liking Alabama as a kid, because my grandpa had the Coke bottle in one of their just sitting out with some stuff. It's one of the things my grandma let him use, I guess, to set out to decorate. But anyway, I now have that, and it's important to me. But not Pete Carroll, but Nick Saban was marching with his team. So this movement is in all different areas of life, but particularly in sports. And these professional athletes or college athletes think that they can and should use their platform to engage in discussions, dialogue, whatever they talk about their just social justice, as they would often say. I don't like the term social justice. I just think justice. I think that we overcomplicate some of these things sometimes. But I understand that also historically this nation has not done the right thing with race. Historically, right? Of course, we had slavery. You had the founders who wrote the right things, but yet they still engaged in, many of them, in slavery, had slaves, what have you. In the 60s, there was the civil rights movement. And so there's been a bad history on race in this nation. As a Christian conservative, let me just say that, as a Christian, I believe that all of us are created in the image of God, in the image of God himself, and that our value as human beings is identical. It's equal, because our value comes from being made in his image and his desire to choose to love us and accept us for who we are. That has nothing to do with any physical appearance. In fact, all these things that we, all things that are physical are going to fade away in eternity. I mean, this idea of having white Christians or even male and female, all this stuff is not in the scheme of eternity the way that God, it's not going to matter. It's going to matter if we accept his son, Jesus, and we are reconciled with the Father. That's what's going to matter. And people of all shapes, colors, sizes, whatever other differentiating factor we want to list, everybody. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That's John 3:16. says that. And so I don't want to say race or, who we are doesn't matter, because it certainly does. It's a part of who we are. I'm not minimizing that. You hear me say on this program, and this is true. For those of you watching on YouTube, you may question this, but it's been demonstrated by a genealogist. I'm the 13th great-grandson of Pocahontas, which I think is fascinating and cool and interesting. But at the same time, that doesn't define me. That doesn't, I think everybody's history is interesting, and there's a story to be told there, and it comes down to individuals. But it's interesting to tell people that, and I had some fun with that when Elizabeth Warren was out there telling people she was Native American, right? And she got upset, or people got upset when they called her Pocahontas, when Trump called her Pocahontas. And I said, wait a second, as the official non-designated spokesperson for the Pocahontas family, we are not offended by this. We are not offended. She's the one that actually is acting in a way that's a little bit offensive by claiming to be a Native American, when clearly that's not what's going on here. But the point is that these things, they do matter, but truth matters as well. And we have made tremendous strides in this nation since its founding. Since its founding, we've made tremendous strides. And there's obviously still a lot of racial strife, and we need to heal as people. But the idea that we're systemically engaging in something that is racist any longer is just, I think, is not correct, is not accurate. And some people will freak out about that and call me racist or whatever for saying that, after just saying that I believe we're all created in the image of God, and nobody is worth anything more to God than me, and no one is worth anything less to God than me. We're all worth the same thing. We all brought upon, we all, in the eyes of God, had enough value for him to send his son Jesus to die. And I don't know how much more value any of us would need to know that the God of the universe did that for us. So all that aside for just a moment. So that's the background. That's kind of what's, I guess, percolating. That's what's, there's different aspects of, there's the Black Lives Matter movement, what people think it stands for, what the Black Lives Matter leaders tell you who they are and what they want, which is Marxism. That's what they say. Those are their own words. They're openly Marxist. They are trained Marxists. They want to see Marxist ideology implemented in this nation and around the world. They believe that is what is, you talk about economic justice and social justice and racial justice, they will tell you that Marxism provides all that. Hogwash. That's insane. Marxism kills. Marxism and other systems of big government that are very similar to it killed over 100 million people in the 20th century. And yet they're lecturing us. They're lecturing us about problems that exist in a free society, which, again, William F. Buckley said the problem with socialism is socialism. The ideology itself is the problem. He also said the problem with capitalism is capitalist. So, meaning the system, the problem in capitalism is not the system. It's individuals within the system, and that's what we have when we look at problems of racism in this country. It is no longer part of the system. It has been removed. Slavery is gone. Civil rights movement has come. We don't have a systemic problem. We've had, people of all different backgrounds and races that have served in government, that currently serve in government, that are hired to be whatever, in government, in private enterprise. We've got companies that are run by people of all different races and ethnicities and backgrounds and genders and sexual orientations and all this stuff. We've got all that. We've had a black, actually two black presidents. But Clinton says he was the first. Obama. We've got Kamala Harris on the Democrat ticket. We've had Ben Carson run. Ben Carson is now the director of HUD. The idea that there's systemic racism in America currently is not an accurate one. Now, it doesn't mean that there's, again, to the point earlier, there are individual racists. There are bad people. And I'm going to tell you this, there's no government that's ever going to be instituted that's going to eradicate that, because you cannot legislate morality. You cannot make someone be good. God took this risk, folks, when he created us. He gave us choice, and he understood that by giving us choice, he gave us the capacity for great love, but we could also use that capacity in an equal sense for great hate, right? And so since love is a choice, and we think about the good that can come from the choices that are loving and good and wholesome and pure, if people choose to do things that are violent and evil, that there's a possibility for an equal amount of evil to come out of this. And when you factor in we all have choices, you can see that this is just the nature of living in a fallen world. It's why I also am a Christian, because I believe the only way to truly watch someone change is for the God of this universe to get a hold of them, and for him to clean us, purify us from the inside out. So, all that being said, that's the background for this. As I'm looking here at the clock here, I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to play this segment, but so we've got Black Lives Matter, the movement. We've got, there's certainly racial concerns. I don't doubt. I am not minimizing that. There's racial problems. There's examples of racism. There's examples of violent racial hatred. There's no doubt about this. And I add too, it comes from all different sorts. It comes from evil people who are engaging and participating in, say, the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. It comes from people who hate white people as well. And I just cited yesterday a story of a man who stabbed a worker at, I think it was AutoZone, 7 times, between stabbing him in the neck and in the abdomen, stabbed him 7 times because he was white, because he had watched videos of white officers shoot black suspects or people they've detained or whatever. He watched hours of that on Facebook and thought, I'm justified in going out and targeting a white person. Folks, that is a racial attack. That is what people would call a hate crime in today's vernacular. And so I'm not minimizing all of those things. I'm simply saying there's a difference between systemic racism, which means it's in our system. You can say it's in our history, but is it in our current system? The answer is no. Is it in the hearts and minds of some Americans? The answer is yes. We can argue and debate how many. It is not everybody. Some will say it's all white people. That is preposterous. Some say that my making that comment right there is in of itself racist because I'm blinded. I'm blinded to my own racism. I've had people address me as a Christian from a stage and say to me and others like me that they had a message from God, and that was to tell us to repent of our racism. They have no idea what they're talking about, because that's not the truth. But the reality is that's how many see this. And so you can see where this boils over quickly. Tensions rise. And so you've got athletes that are involved. You got Black Lives Matter. You've got this, this nonstop narrative that's talking about race and all this stuff. I'm telling you, folks, they're using this, of course, for political purposes. And I'm, again, not saying that there's not real problems, real issues, or anything like that, but this is being used for political purposes. This is being, when I said yesterday or the day before that the Democrats need hate, they need this. They need this to drive people to a wedge between Trump and his voters. They want people not really to go to vote. They want people to vote for Biden, but they're not going to give you reasons as to why you should. They're going to make you hate or try to make you hate Trump so much that you can't vote for Trump. And so they need this hatred. They need this discord. They need this disunity. They need this anger and rage. They need this. They need really people that aren't thinking clearly. They need people who don't think for themselves, that just follow groupthink, that just simply hear Donald Trump, and then the first word they say after hearing the name Donald Trump is racist or totalitarian or dictator or sexist or take your pick. This is what they've invested 4 years in, and they're not about to let the fruit of their labor slip through their fingers. So that's kind of the backdrop of what's, I think, going on, how I view it. I want to share a bit of this conversation, a bit of this interview. Pete Carroll, NFL coach. Of course, there's pressures there. Seattle in particular. So he's an NFL coach, so there's the NFL's desire to come out and take strong positions on this now. People, Goodell's apologizing to Kaepernick, all this stuff happening. So on top of that, he's in Seattle, which is, of course, the home of Chop. I don't know how close the stadium is to Chop or Chaz. They may want to become the Chop Seahawks. I don't know. But anyway, Pete Carroll's going to share with us some things that I just want you to hear, because there's so much wrong with this. It's almost jaw-dropping at points. So I'll play that next segment. When we get back, you're listening to Conservative, Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff, back in just a minute.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
We all know having health insurance doesn't always equal health care. That's why at Freedom HealthWorks, we believe the key to maintaining good health is based on a straightforward, personal relationship with your physician. With our direct doctor-patient relationship model, we remove your healthcare middleman and replace him with transparent pricing and incentive to call your doctor at the first sign of illness. So if you're ready to experience real care from a doctor that really cares about you, go to freedomhealthworks.com and learn more about the benefits of our direct primary care model. Freedom HealthWorks. Be treated better.
Our partner, Global Plasma Solutions, has published ionization testing results that demonstrate a 99.4% reduction rate on a SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 surface strain within 30 minutes. This is the first instance that an air purification company has effectively neutralized SARS-CoV-2. Commercial Service Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is installing this solution in businesses and homes in South Central Indiana. Get your free information kit at commercialservice.com/info. Commercial Service, commercial-grade service for your home.
Does your business have a plan for social media marketing? Are you reaching the right audiences through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the list goes on? Are you learning from the data? Jarbo can help. Our team doesn't just come in and tell you how to be successful. We help you execute and measure your sales and marketing efforts. Give us a call at 317-834-6560 or visit us online at jarbomarketing.com. That's jarbomarketing.com. Make social media work for you.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing,
and electrical done right.
Call Mr. Quick. Call Mr. Quick. Dial the number, spell the words. For on time.
Indy Decorative Concrete is hiring immediately. They're looking for workers with experience finishing concrete. Pay is $25 to $30 per hour with weekly overtime. All jobs are located within the city of Indianapolis. Call 317-784-1464 or apply in person at their offices located at 8366 Brookville Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46239. They're open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, visit their website, www.indydecorativeconcrete.com. www.indydecorativeconcrete.com.
Our word can't be diluted, because we are taught that a promise is a commitment in which you always follow through. No ifs, ands, or buts. So every time you walk through Greg Hubler Chevrolet doors, you can count on the advice and expertise we provide you. Because when we make a promise, we keep it. Greg Hubler Chevrolet. Promise kept. Visit GrayHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
In the compassion of Christ, we see Christ as he models it for us in some really interesting ways. He's not worried about the world metrics. No, he is worried about the person. Mark 5, he gets in a boat and goes across the lake for one person. We see him as he's walking amidst all of the people. He stops to engage with the one woman with the issue of blood. Christ was about engaging with people and not worried about numbers. If there was one, he wanted to engage and connect with them. For us today to live out the compassion of Christ, will you engage with someone? Will you engage with the one? Not worried about the numbers, but worried about the connection.
All right, welcome back. So I want to share with you this interview, or this, I guess, press conference that Pete Carroll had. I want you to just listen to how he, I guess, talks about this. Queuing it up here. Here you go.
It's just been an incredible off-season in camp, and now we're finally together working. But never before this year has it been so deep and so rich in the exchanges with our players in how they've taken this opportunity to teach us more and deeper about what the life of a black man is like in America, black men and women. And they've been compelled to speak out more than ever. There's been less fear and less concern of what's going to happen. I love our environment is such that our guys are willing to say what they can say, and they're okay about that, which we need to hear, because this has been a process of truth telling and reality checks that just brings me to a point where, as we're speaking about all that's going on, and this is about racism in America, that white people don't know. They don't know enough. And they need to be coached up, and they need to be educated about what the heck is going on in this world. The black people can't scream anymore. They can't march anymore. They can't bare their souls anymore to what they've lived with for hundreds of years, because white guys came over from Europe and started a new country with a great idea and a great ideals and wrote down great writings and laws and all of that. About democracy and freedom and equality for all, and then it ain't happened. That's not what happened, because we went down this other road here. We followed economics and rich white guys making money, and they put together a system of slavery, and we've never left it. Really, it's never gone away.
Okay, so there's more to this. But I wanted to play that part, and then we might play a little bit more. But basically what he's saying here is that the founders, which this is not in the majority of thinking in amongst leftists, which, I mean, like whether or not Pete Carroll's a leftist, he certainly sounds like one here to me. But the majority of radical leftists today do not acknowledge that this nation was even founded upon solid ideals. Pete Carroll is saying it was, but the founders, instead of embracing them, they took us down another path, which, again, he's not wrong insofar as it relates to the issue of slavery. Now, I would say that in the other areas, and many, I would say in all other areas, the founders had brilliant ideas that have transformed the landscape of this world for the better. It's totally transformed, radically changed this great nation and the world. You want to know what's eradicated more poverty than anything else in the history of the world? It's been free markets. It's been prosperity. We haven't eradicated poverty by socialism. That's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to believe is the case. That's what makes them feel good, but that's not the case. Now, he does say here that the founders put together these great ideas, but then they started following economics. I want to pause. What do you mean following economics? Because slavery, I guess, is what he's arguing is part of capitalism. That is, of course, not true. Slavery was a part of our capitalism, but those two things are clearly not mutually, or they clearly are mutually exclusive. They're not connected. They're not together as one part of a system. But that's what he's kind of arguing here. He said that we still pretty much, more or less, have this system of slavery today. And he talks as though rich white guys don't include him. I mean, it does by American standards. He's a one percenter, folks. I don't know what he makes specifically, but he makes millions of dollars a year, and I don't begrudge that. I don't care. That's what the NFL has created a lot of, I guess, positions, or they've created an empire that now people get paid a lot because people watch this. I wonder how many are going to continue watching based upon what we've seen between the NFL, the NBA, and other sports leagues. But the point is that he does well, and I don't begrudge that, and I don't for a moment think that has anything to do whatsoever with some sort of historical slavery connotation. That those two things are not connected. They can be, they had been historically in this nation, but they are not ideologically. I wholeheartedly reject the concept of slavery. By the way, there are cases of modern day slavery today. And a lot of that, unfortunately, it's unfortunate no matter who it hits. Whoever is subjected to slavery of any form, of any type, who's ever subjected to being forced to do something against their will, who's ever subjected to, and forced to do something that's immoral or whatever. Force is not a good thing, but we have cases of sex, child, and not just child, but a lot of child sex workers forced. They're sex slaves. There's no doubt about this. This happens. This happens around the world. It happens here in the United States. There's just look at like Jeffrey Epstein, for example, as an example. I'm not saying that is the entirety of what we see, but I mean, there are legitimate cases of slavery today. That's one of them. It is not the case that America has slavery based upon race in its current state, and it hasn't for a long time. There was a period where there wasn't slavery, but there was still systemic racial issues, but that is not today. That is not 2020. That is not where we live. Anyway, I'll have more to say about this after the break, but I need to take a time out here, come back. When we return, play a little bit more of this press conference from Pete Carroll. When we get back, you're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I am your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter. To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 back up, $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freege, Freije, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freegee, owner and lead auctioneer at Freegee & Freegee Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
Outside of the federal government, no one likes losing money. Any amount of money, not just the $6 billion the State Department lost. And what makes losing money worse is knowing that we could have done something to stop it. Well, if you have an inefficient furnace, a toilet that won't stop running, or a leaky faucet, you can do something about it. You can call the good folks at Economy Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. Call 317-831-5279 or visit economyheatingandair.com.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change Counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
Hi, this is Caleb with Gluff Plumbing. Does your home need some plumbing updates? Gluff Plumbing is your solution. We specialize in updating old plumbing, everything from water heaters to well pumps, to underground leaks and everything that has to do with water entering and leaving the home, including water and sewer main excavations. We pride ourselves on old-fashioned customer service. Call Gluff Plumbing at 765-721-6789 or visit gluffplumbing.com. That's GLUFF plumbing.com. Call us today.
Hi, my name is John Swadner, Sales Director of the Todd Huff Show. As a listener of the program, you know the show is growing. 4 years ago, it began as a podcast in a closet. Today, it's a 2-hour show that airs during morning drive in Indy and in Utah, and we're just scratching the surface. Todd brought me on board to help the show and our advertisers grow. That's why I'm specifically looking for partners who are a good fit to advertise with us. Would that be you? To learn more about what advertising would look like and to determine if it's a good fit for your business, shoot me an email to john@toddhuffshow.com. And be sure to ask me about some of our special packages that will save you up to 40%. Email john@toddhuffshow.com. Shoot me an email today.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
Welcome back. Speaking a little bit or sharing a little bit of this interview, press conference that Pete Carroll had, NFL coach, Seattle Seahawks. We stopped at last segment. I want to play a little bit more of this. Here's Pete Carroll continuing. This goes on for a while. Goes on for a while, but I just want you to hear some of the things he's saying here. We talked about last segment how he basically said that we still pretty much have the same system that we had when we were founded, which is predicated and based upon slavery, which of course is just factually and demonstrably not true. But nonetheless, I just want you to hear more of what he says here.
And the really amazing thing that I've learned is black people know the truth. They know exactly what's going on. It's white people that don't know. And it's not that they're not telling us. They've been telling us the stories. We know what's right and what's wrong. We just have not been open to listen to it. We've been unwilling to accept the real history. We've been taught a false history of
Okay, a couple things there. Number one, I'm not sure that many Americans know the right thing to do. To Pete Carroll's point, he says we know the right thing to do. We just refuse to accept it. We don't know the right thing to do because we don't know the real history. We've been lied to. I don't dispute that we've been lied to about our history. I dispute what we've been lied to about. This nation, our history in this nation. In fact, I've been reading. When I say reading, most times I mean listening on Audible, but sometimes it means reading, like actually reading. But usually it means I listen to books on Audible. I'm with my busy sort of lifestyle. That's a little bit easier for me to consume a book, listening, and just with my nature, I'm better. I am kind of an auditory listener or learner, I think, anyway. But anyhow, I think there's lots of things people don't know about our history. In fact, I remember when I was in school, I actually saw examples myself. I remember the first time I found one myself, I was appalled, but I saw examples of history books that did not accurately portray what was written in historical documents. And I believe it was the Virginia Declaration of Man, I think. It's some there's a historical document. I'm drawing a blank on which one it actually is. But I remember I saw it quoted in, say, a textbook, and then I went to the original source, and they left out references to God, which were clearly in here. Imagine, it wasn't the Bill of Rights, but it would be akin to the Bill of Rights changing or taking out keywords of, say, the Second Amendment, right? Taking out a key phrase or word in the Second Amendment, or any amendment for that matter. The First Amendment, it could take away the right to peaceably assemble or whatever. And that's what these textbooks did. They rewrote America's heritage. America has a Christian heritage. It doesn't mean that it was perfectly implemented. That's not at all what I'm saying. Again, especially in regards to slavery in this nation. Now, there were some that were against slavery from the beginning. Early abolitionists. But they didn't win that. They didn't win that debate. That wasn't what came out of the foundation of this nation. Slavery could remain in places. A lot of the founders didn't like slavery, thought it was wrong, but of course they still did it. They gave themselves excuses. This is just human nature. This is how we operate. People do things all the time that they don't think are right, but yet we give ourselves an excuse for. And so we have been told lies about our history, but it's not the lies that Pete Carroll is suggesting we've been told. I'll play a little bit more and then I got to take a break, but Pete Carroll continues here.
In this country, we've been basing things on false premises, and it has not been about equality for all. It has not been about freedom for all. It's not been for opportunity for all. And it needs to be, because this is a humanity issue that we're dealing with. This is a white people's issue to get over it and learn what's going on and to figure it out and start loving everybody that is part of our country and that want to come to our country, wherever they want to come from.
I mean, this is painful to watch at some point to me. This is painful to watch or listen to if you're listening on the radio. It's time for white people to just learn and get over it. Get over what? I feel like I've gotten over. I feel like I've, in my mind, have come to grips with the reality that this nation is built upon the best ideals in the history of the world, and that our founders were wrong in one area very badly, and that was the issue of slavery. I don't feel the need to throw everything else that was right out because they were wrong on that issue. I think you fix what's wrong. To me, this is elementary. I think we have 3 kids, 11, 9, and 6. And I think any of the 3 kids could figure out. If you got something good, in fact, great, better than anything that's ever existed on planet Earth as far as a system of government, right? Now we have liberty. We have people that are no longer viewed as they're citizens. They're not subjects any longer. They have freedom. They have opportunity. They've been empowered as individuals. They get to live as they were created to live by God. Yes, everybody starts at different points, but everybody is free to do what they need to do from where they start. And there's stories of people that started with nothing and have, just amazing stories, amazing accomplishments in their lives of all different backgrounds, races, genders, so forth. Well, there's two genders, but you know what I'm saying, different types of people. So it's unfortunate that this is, I still don't know specifically what they want us to do, what Pete Carroll wants us to do. I just think he feels like he has to say things. I have no more clearer understanding of what the next logical step is after listening to Pete Carroll here than I did before. Racism is terrible. Racism should not exist. Racism no longer systemically exists in this nation, where there's examples of people, breaking the law against people of color, or candidly against anyone, whether they're the same color or whatever. There should be consequences. Period. End of story. If an officer breaks the law and harms a person unjustifiably and not in self-defense, whatever the race or gender of that person, there should be consequences. And certainly, hear me say this, it should happen if the suspect or the person being detained is black as well. Black lives do matter. Of course they matter. But this whole idea that we just say a bunch of stuff about how bad our history is, and then what? Now what? You say enough bad things about our founding, people want to start using that as a kind of the preface to change the things that are good about our society, the things that the radical left already wants to change. And this gives them a mechanism, a vehicle by which they can do that. And I stand firmly against that. Let's address the things that are wrong. Understand that there's a difference between systemic problems, systemic issues, and people using their freedom and choices to do bad things as individuals. And that's what we're dealing with here, as far as I see it, and clearly the case. Anyway, Oz is telling me it's time to take a break, and she would be right. There's a lot more about this. Maybe we'll post this full interview on Facebook or wherever if you want to hear the whole thing. But I've got to take a break. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
Hey Indianapolis, by now you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest Tax Group. Jody and his team are experts at helping you prepare your personal or small business tax returns. You can count on Midwest Tax Group to get every deduction possible and work for your higher refund. And not just on this year's taxes, they'll check your prior returns for any tax savings you may have missed for free. Are you behind on filing your returns? They can file past due returns and help negotiate with the IRS too. They complete most tax returns within a week and charge an affordable flat fee, no hourly billing. And as their client, you can consult with the team at Midwest Tax Group year-round at no charge. Midwest Tax Group has 4 office locations in Castleton, Greenwood, Plainfield, and Greenfield, with evening and weekend appointments available. Schedule your appointment today at 317-288-5260. That's 317-288-5260. Or visit their website at mwtaxgroup.com. Midwest Tax Group can help you more than any piece of software ever could.
Are you concerned about your investments? Intrepid Financial has been educating, customizing, and servicing Hoosier investment portfolios since 1998. Our family-owned and operated business builds strong bonds with our clients. When you call, we answer the phone, always ready to walk you through your investment strategy. Intrepid means without fear. We want our clients to be fearless, to feel secure with their investments. Give us a call at 317-818-1776 or visit us online at intrepidfinancial.com.
Business leaders, are your employees satisfied with their jobs? Do they enjoy coming to work and feel valued? Workforce Chaplains can help. Locally owned, we work with organizations to provide holistic care to their employees. I'm Marcus Schrader, president of Workforce Chaplains, and we offer your team a 24/7 support system that positively affects your company's culture and productivity. With our personalized pricing and diverse support system, we handle the issues that you wish you had time for. To learn more, visit us at workforcechaplains.com.
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think in your home. Now all the kids have flown the nest and you find yourself wondering what to do with all of that extra space. This is Bruce of Bruce Richardson Realty. My team and I understand that life changes, and so do your home needs. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing, give us a call at 317-507-3285. Let us help you find the best fit for your residential or your commercial property needs. 317-507-3285.
I love my community, and I wanted to do more to make a difference with my hard-earned dollars. I wanted to make an impact and help shape our future and our county. So I gave money to the Community Foundation of Morgan County. More than just charitable giving, the money I donate is tracked and measured so every dollar is held accountable. It's a social return on your investment. Why don't you join me in donating at cfmconline.org? That's cfmconline.org. Philanthropy with measurable impact.
Ever ask yourself, what does my business insurance actually cover? Well, at AIA and Avon, we think you deserve to know. AIA is focused on earning your trust. We found that when we educate our clients and truly listen to them, they allow us to work alongside them to put together the insurance plan they need. Whether your business is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com. Advertisement sponsored by Grange Insurance.
Welcome back. All right, so I mentioned earlier something else I wanted to share was Brian Stelter. He's a CNN. I was going to say journalist. I don't even think that that's remotely accurate. He's a propagandist, maybe on CNN. He is on C-SPAN here, and he's taking some. Well, he's taking it from a caller here. I want you to listen to this exchange. He's a guest on C-SPAN, and a caller calls in to tell him what's up. Here you go.
And you guys always talk about how many times Trump has lied. I've calculated that I think with your chyrons, with, I don't know if there's any journalists left at CNN, but I know that, if I were to estimate about 300 different, distortions or misinformation that we get out of CNN, and you have to watch them in the airport, which is harsh. But if you added all that up to 46 months, it comes out to be 300,000 plus distortions of truth. So my thing is that you guys, this is how low you'll go, is that you went out and you made lies and you defamed a child, and then you had to settle out of court to pay this child for distorting information about this young individual. So I would say, if anything that's happening at CNN and anybody who buys your book, it's really just one of those things that is dividing our nation. And I don't believe in dividing our nation. It hurts our great nation. And so CNN is really the enemy of the truth. And that's my opinion. Thank you.
Brian Stelter.
I'm grateful for the call. And I know that you're not the only person that feels this way. There has been a process of radicalization that's happened in this country with media bashing that is absolutely unprecedented. 20, 30 years ago, conservatives talked about media bias, and there were some really valid points to that critique. It is absolutely true that lots of journalists are based in New York and Washington. They're based in big cities. They have liberal leanings. And mainstream newsrooms are built to make sure that bias doesn't seep into the news coverage. And yet sometimes it does. I absolutely acknowledge that. I think it's different to talk about things as if they're enemies. No American is an enemy of another American. No news outlet is an enemy of America.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, if your intention is to distort history so as to fundamentally change America, and you have made yourself an enemy to America as founded, and you seek each and every day to undermine that history, to change that history, to fundamentally change this great nation. I question that, Brian Stelter. And there's a difference, too. There's political enemies and there's mortal enemies. You don't have to be mortal enemies, but look, you're professional deceivers at CNN. I don't think that that's really up for debate. Anyway, got to take a break. Come back and wrap up. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
When life is hard for the women you care about, there is help with issues such as widowhood, anxiety, depression, or abuse. They don't have to go through it alone. Peace Restored is there to walk with women through the journey. Peace Restored helps women through free mentoring, counseling, and education. When life is hard, Peace Restored is there to help women you care about find hope and healing. To learn more, visit peacerestored.net.
Wallace Construction is a family-owned business with 45 years' experience in asphalt, concrete, and seal coating. At Wallace Construction, our wide variety of experience and top-notch customer service have helped us build a strong reputation in central Indiana. But we don't rest on that reputation. We build it, one job at a time. If you have an upcoming project, call us at 317-422-5356. That's Wallace Construction, 317-422-5356, and ask for Richard or Roger.
The compassion of Christ. It's living life connecting to the broken and messy world. It's not simply walking down the street and dropping a quarter in someone's bucket. It's been perverted by Satan from biblical compassion to feeling sorry for, and sympathy isn't where God wants us to live. It's connecting to broken people in our daily life. Living the compassion of Christ.
You rely on your vehicle every day. It's not a member of the family, but you spend as much time with it as most family members. You wouldn't take your family to just any doctor, so don't trust your vehicle to just any repair service. At Raymond's Auto and Truck Repair in Plainfield, we have well-trained, caring technicians that have the expertise to get you back on the road. For 25 years, we've been servicing personal, commercial, and fleet vehicles. Give us a call at 317-838-7112 for the car service you deserve.
Ever wondered what shooting a real machine gun feels like? At Indy Trading Post, you can have an awesome and safe shooting experience in our family-friendly environment. Firing a weapon on full auto is something you will always remember. Schedule some range time today and let Indy Trading Post give you the real machine gun shooting experience. We guarantee you'll have a blast. Give us a call at 317-782-4867 or schedule your range time at fullautoindy.com.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 back at $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freege, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freege, owner and lead auctioneer at Freege Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
All right, folks, saddest time of the day for you. I understand that. I feel for you, but never fear. We will be back at it tomorrow. In fact, if you've missed episodes of this program after I say publicly shame on you, you should rest assured that you can catch up and catch encore episodes of our program. Past episodes of our program, toddhuffshow.com/listen. You can also go back to our Facebook feed and see what we've done there for hour number 1. But look, it's been a pleasure here. We've launched here on YouTube. And if you watch on YouTube again, or if you don't, it's Todd Huff Show on YouTube. But I appreciate you joining us here. Subscribe to Hour 1 of our podcast on Apple, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get podcasts. That's the Todd Huff Show as well. But got to wrap up. Music telling me it's time to go. SDGC